Hello guys, I'm back with another video. Today I'm covering why manga fans are stupid, and I'm using this kind of point as a example. So this guy said, let me go up. This guy said the anime does not count, it's not canon. And then I pointed out how everybody in power at, the manga side of fans, be it Toyotaro who writes Super, or Toriyama who wrote the original manga. He didn't write all of it, technically. We'll get into that. But essentially, both of them counted the anime. Toyotaro said everything counts, and Toriyama said anime and manga count. We'll go over this right here. So, he essentially said everything counts. See, everything counts. To me, everything is more or less canon. And then Toriyama said Dragon Ball is the anime and the manga, so he's counting both here. Both the guy who writes Super and the OG creator of DB count the anime. Of course, the fandom and you can say it's not canon, but Toriyama would disagree. The first one is a made-up quote, the second one doesn't even say that the anime is canon. Ignoring that for a second, because I don't care. Proof. So, he has no evidence that it was a made-up quote. He just says it was, and then expects you to trust him, because trust me, I have no incentive in trying to say that it's made up. I'm a manga fan. I have no incentive in trying to say the anime that I don't like doesn't count. Do you see the problem here? He has all the incentive in saying in saying that this quote isn't real. And so, to alleviate that bias, you actually need a source or a piece of information to validate your claim. You can't just say it's false and then provide no proof, especially when you're biased and partial and have all the reason to lie. And he said it didn't even say that, and I'm like, yes, it did. He said it's Dragon Ball, the anime and the manga. And then fans go, nah, he just meant the manga and he's totally wrong here. It's like ridiculous. People want to interpret fans in a select way that only works according to their interpretation. And these are all manga fans doing this. They hate anime, and that's why they're doing this. See, he said Dragon Ball is the anime and the manga, so he's saying both count. There's no other way to interpret that except that. Like, that's the only interpretation that makes sense with that scene. Also, we know which version is canon when it comes to Trunks versus Mecha Frieza, and it isn't the one where Trunks pointlessly aura farms, and this is referring to the, like the thing he's linking here is referring to the Dragon Ball superhero Toei animation. I don't know if it's gonna let me link it. Yeah, it's gonna let me link it. So, see, this is what he's referring to, the Toei animation Dragon Ball superhero movie. And so he gets into this kind of nonsensical argument because he's essentially saying one thing that's animated by Toei and produced by Toei counts, but not the other thing. Actually, I'll play it out in full. So just so we're aware, you've seen that, right? Like, we've seen that play out in full. This is going to be important later. So he said, this is the version that counts. Mind you, he's a manga only and saying anime does not count. So he's essentially making a claim that animation only counts in some circumstances. If it's produced by Toei and animated by Toei, it counts if he likes it. That's the whole problem with this kind of person here, is they are completely nonsensical, filled with self-contradiction. And they're so blissfully unaware of this because they live in an echo chamber. They are not going to show a full fight scene in a small recap. That's not proof that the superhero version is canon over to DBZ anime. The audience, to some degree, already knows what is happening, so showing the full scene would serve no point other than to waste time. The Broly flashback to the King Piccolo fight only showed Goku striking through his stomach, so I guess that was the only part of the scene which counts. And no, you don't know, as the series never states which is canon and which is not, and your determination is more based on the manga community's general dislike of anime as a whole than it is on any truth. Manga purists still to this day despise filler, even though they don't even watch anime, so why do you care what happens in a shitty filler story you don't even like? And you don't even watch. And you would never watch anyway. You're counting one fan animated produced by Toei over another fan as equally made by Toei due to your distaste of anime as a whole. Can't get manga fans. They cry and complain about filler in a show they will never watch. What are we even debating? Of course, anime isn't canon to the manga and vice versa. It's an adaptation, not a direct continuation of the source material. No one thinks the Lord of the Wind movies and countless other films based on books are canon to the books. So why is this somehow such a big deal for DBZ? I think this is the same problem where book fans are like have a seething hatred towards the movies for no other reason that they are movies and not the books. Which is the same problem with manga fans. They hate the anime just because it is an anime, not because it does anything wrong. They hate it for the thing it is, not for what it does. The creator didn't even say it counts in the case of The Lord of the Rings, as far as I'm aware, where with Dragon Ball, both the OG creator said it counts, and the writer of Super saying everything counts, with nothing officially even supporting your side, and the only thing people pushing this being anime-hating manga onlys, thus having all the incentive in the anime they hate not counting. So again, everybody official counts it, and only the anime haters are saying the anime don't count with no actual sources. The guy on your same side cited a scene produced and animated by Toei, the same guys who made the OG anime for Z. So honestly, the whole canon debate boils down to if the IP is hated as being filler trash or loved with being canon, not for any objective or factual reason. He's essentially, they both can't be canon no matter what anyone says. For example, a filler flashback is Vegeta saying he already knew Frieza destroyed Planet Vegeta, but in the Namek arc, he is surprised to hear the truth from Dodoria, like it was in the manga. Okay, I'm just gonna explain this. No matter what people say, said people would rewrite the story. Or Crazy thought they wanted to flesh out a character with a flashback, and it created a contradiction. Wouldn't be the first time in Dragon Ball a plot hole occurred. Nappa thinking Super Saiyans are human Saiyan hybrids. Trunks calling the android to attack this timeline 19 and 20. Such a plot hole was fixed in the anime, by the way. Just using an adaptation as an argument, as you did before, ignores the difference between soft and hard adaptations. Something like DBZ is using the same exact characters, arcs, fights, and everything else. Only difference being more expanded content, i.e., scenes fleshing out or expanding concepts in the source material. Something like the Arkham universe is just doing its own thing with its own versions of characters from DC Comics, being more or less new characters sharing the same name rather than being a one-to-one adaptation. Nobody ever thought the Arkham games were in fact the comics or vice versa. Bane in the comics, to my knowledge, is supposed to be a kind of smart character, but in the Arkham games, he's a raging brute. Not to mention, Bane looks more like a Hulk, where in the comics, he's just a roided, buff human, unlike in the Arkham game. This ain't a point about Bane, but in this case here, I'm simply pointing out the flaw in your reasoning on saying it's an adaptation, therefore different. Saiyans having sudden growth sports or Saiyans wanting strong lives are also both plot holes, as evidenced by Goku and Gohan as kids in the first instance, and Turbo and Broly in the second instance. I guess Super has plot hole, therefore it's not canon to the manga. After all, Vegeta knowing about the destruction of Planet Vegeta at Frieza's hands is a plot hole, therefore non-canon by your own logic. So Super also having contradictions means it's non-canon as well, by your own logic. If we're going to be consistent by your own sets of rules and logic, Super is as equally non-canon as the Z anime. Of course, neither were looked at as non-canon by the writers, because the writers never seen contradictions as proof of canonicity like you do. The fight is literally one-to-one with the manga. What the hell are you on about? Probably because the most recent Dragon Ball project, written by Toriyama, is one-to-one with the manga. Gee, I wonder why that's fixed. The same flashbacks he didn't write nor supervise? Keep crying. See, this is manga fans. They're just bitter, hateful people. It's literally recapping a prior event. Do you understand what a recap is? And no, it's not one-to-one. This explosion seems to only occur in the manga version, but not in the superhero animation. Both Frieza and King Cold fly out of the dust cloud, where only Frieza does in the superhero animation. Remember what I said about this coming back, like that video? And Cold witnesses Frieza dice in half, where again, that didn't occur in superhero. So again, it's not one-to-one. He just made that up. It was likely excluded because, again, it's a recap meant to just cover general strokes of the overall story and not meant to be one-to-one, accurate, and or cover every story detail. The anime exists and there's no... Okay, I'm not going to cover that. The editors often wrote for Toriyama, forcing the creation of 17, 18, and all three forms of Cell. In fact, the entirety of the Moro arc was wrote by Toriyama. The anime even discredited Toriyama as having wrote it, so fans like you would watch it, not understanding though that none of you actually watch anime. They think if they put Toriyama's name about it, people will like it. Not understanding manga onlys are fringe and watch zero anime whatsoever. However, the broad point being here is many pieces of media have been wrote by different people, including the guidebook and the manga arc. Toriyama even stated the people who wrote the guidebook did a better job than him. The random who wrote also wrote that, and the random who wrote that are as equally don't count by your own logic because he didn't make them. Same problem exists here where the guy who created it writes it, therefore they count it. And then they just ignore that standard when it's for things they like, be it novels or this or any other thing. And at the end of the day, these terms are just things for people to use to discount and count the things they ever hate or like, hence the many contradictions. This was not wrote by him, nor was that by the standard fans' layouts. Therefore, there's no objective differences, but one is counted and one is not. It's because one is liked and one is hated. It's literally just a purity spiral, with the only real factor being whether one is hated or liked, and it just so happens that they like that.